Don't sell your house until you watch this video. Making the decision to sell your house is hard enough, but knowing if now is the time to list, well, only God really knows that answer.
I mean, the housing market is incredibly unpredictable. At this point, we have rising interest rates, falling interest rates. They're all over the place, and they're going to continue to move. And as the experts say, is the housing market bubble going to burst? These are all great questions, and nobody can really say what is going to happen definitively, although we have our own very strong opinion. What we can tell you, though, is if you're in one of these scenarios, selling your home really does make sense.
So, reasons to sell. Number one, low inventory, right? It comes down to supply and demand. So if there's not a lot of houses on the market, put your house on the market because chances are you're going to get a lot more profit from that sale. Also, if there has been a death in the family, a lot of times our clients inherit their property. They inherit their property and the heirs want to sell. So that does make sense to sell your house now because you just want to liquidate that asset. In the case of a divorce, if someone's in the process of getting a divorce, it makes sense to sell because chances are the court's going to have you sell the house, or you need to cash out and pay off your outgoing spouse. So you may not have the extra money, so you have to sell your house. Why is that funny to you?
It's not funny to me. Listen, first of all, we're real sorry about the death in the family if that's the case, but unfortunately that does happen. If you're going through a divorce, we're with you. We get it. That's just a horrible, horrible environment to be in. But as she's saying, sometimes that is a requirement. It's important that you're educated.
Yeah. Also, another reason to sell is if you have a job transfer or if you need to relocate and you don't want to be a landlord, you don't want to rent a house someplace else and then rent your current home, it makes sense to sell.
And since we're running down this negative row, if you lose your job, then of course it's going to make sense. You may want to consider that selling your home makes sense. The other option is you may say, I just want to downsize. We're at the point now we're almost empty nesters.
We don't use the pool anymore.
It's good to look at. It only costs about $200 a month. That's a waste of money. It is 59 degrees. We just checked because, well, when we're done, we're going to go sit in the sun. Not going to happen. Upsizing. You may say, you know what, I've got more children on the way. I want to have a bigger house. Or quite honestly, maybe I've got my significant others, my in-laws are moving in with us. Right. So there's a lot of opportunities in there. They're all good reasons to sell if you choose to. And if you don't want to, don't. We're not pressuring you. We just want to cover them all.
Now, those are all good reasons to sell, but there are some reasons why you may not want to sell. And of course, the big one is if mortgage rates continue to rise, right? You're going to have to outweigh your risk and reward because you're not going to want to pay more money for your house, right? No, it just doesn't make sense. So just stay in the property that you're currently at. And also, if your move isn't crucial, do you really got to sell? Or do you just want another house? If it's not that crucial that you move, it may make sense for you to just stay, ride it out, and see what does happen with the market.
So something else that you want to consider is what do you have for equity in your property? Because there is a built-in expense when you're selling the home. It's usually going to cost you around 6.5%, and that includes your title fees and everything else, taxes, the whole shebang, 6.5%. If you don't have built-in equity, which most of us do at this point, if we've had a house since 2020, we've had a heck of a rise going up here. You may want to cash out on that equity. But knowing that's going to be important, and you can get your payoff statement from your bank very easily.
And we had a few clients who approached us wanting to sell their house, and then when they see that they had to bring money to the table,
it's a no-go.
You just couldn't list. And we're like, no, just stay where you're at for a couple of years.
Also, we got to take a look at the housing inventory. If there's a ton of homes on the market, it's not really a good time to sell if you can avoid it. Mm-hmm. Let's look for an opportunity where there's big buyer demand, but there's not as many sellers out there. That's going to put more traffic into your property, which will give you higher prices. And ultimately, that's the goal. How do we maximize all the work you've done? Which is the next topic. What if there's some unseen repairs or repairs you're aware of?
Or unfinished repairs.
Repairs.
Like you need a new roof.
Okay, these are big expenses. Does it really make sense for you to sell? And then go back to the inventory. Are we competing in there? Everything comes into account when you're considering the opportunity to sell your property. And you have to have the knowledge about all of that. There's one other topic I wanted to talk about. And that's, are you happy with the home? Ultimately, that's it. If the home doesn't fit you anymore, like us with our pool, it's pretty, but I don't love it. Mm-hmm. And it's not where we want to be. We decided we want to be on the beach. So having a happy home is a big deal, too. Yeah,
and another point, too, a lot of people, if they've recently refinanced, in 2020 and 2021, when the interest rates are like 2 and 3%. So if you recently refinanced, it's not going to make sense because you're not going to get that 3% interest rate again, right? Unless you want to just sell your house and you could pay cash for the next one. Stay where you're at.
So let's talk about capital gains, because capital gains tax is relevant. If you haven't lived in your home as your primary residence for at least 2 years in the last couple of years, you're going to pay capital gains tax on that. Now, if you have lived in your home, there's a financial benefit that is fantastic if it's your primary residence. For Jackie and I, we could have $500,000 in equity and not pay a penny tax. Individually, if we weren't married, let's say we're going through a divorce or something, she'd have $250,000 for this property, and if I were living in another home, I'd have $250,000. As a single owner, you have $250,000 worth of tax-free income. Yours, in your pocket, not a penny tax. That's a big deal too. Now, we always advise that you talk to your CPA.
Yes.
However, a lot of this we can pretty much help you through because we have pretty good knowledge of this.
And if you want a deeper dive into capital gains tax and what you'll end up owing the IRS should you sell, watch this next video.
We've said this every time we shoot a video like this. It really comes down to your very, very unique circumstances, and nobody's is exactly the same. If you want to talk about what to do in selling your home, there's an actual link down below to your evaluation report that I'll customize for you with Jackie that's specific to your property. The number one thing you have to do is figure out if it fits your lifestyle, fits where you're going, and what's important to you, because this is all about you. We don't want you to sell if you don't have to. In fact, that's just crazy talk. But if it's something that becomes a priority to you, we can do it. And she's an expert negotiator. Thanks so much for your time.
Have a great day.